Good afternoon. I wanted to come on this afternoon, excuse me, to do one of those pre shows before the shows. I guess that's what pre show is, right? Very important live stream show tonight as we'll be streaming live into Facebook, George Espinal show page, and we'll be streaming into the George Espinal channel on YouTube at 8 p.m. tonight. Before I go any further, let's put Dude to work real quick. And so there we have Dude. Dude is earning his keep this afternoon, Monday afternoon, and I'm live from the Funny Farm at a place called Our World. Very, very important live stream show tonight. One that will have you sitting on the very edge of your chair. And I wanted to come on to kind of give you a update on what's coming on the show tonight. One of the most renowned investigative journalists around then and now, Mr. Ivor Davis, will be with us. A delightful man, very pleasant man. I believe that you're going to enjoy him because I know for a fact that you'll be sitting on the very edge of your seat as he takes us into this very horrific crime that was committed in August of 1969. Let me kind of set the stage for you if you're not familiar with what took place back on August 9th, 1969. And leading up to that point, the 60s were a mixed bag. If you lived during the 60s, which I certainly did, you knew that America was in some troubled straits. In the early 60s, the civil rights movement started. Throughout most of the decade, the Vietnam War really cranked up in 1965 and intensified onward and upward from that point on. During the civil rights movements, there was killings, bombings, so many injustices due to a man's skin color. This country was in great turmoil. There was riots, and there was political unrest. As the Vietnam War cranked up, there was protest that started on campuses across America. Then it flooded out into the streets of the cities. Political unrest. The whole country was in turmoil. When I went to Vietnam in 1966, this country was in bad shape. When I came back in 1968, the country was literally on fire. I mean, literally on fire. Major cities across this nation were burning up. Riots in the streets, killings, unrest. The Vietnam War was not popular. The civil rights movement was at its height. In April of that year, one of the greatest men to ever grace this nation, Dr. Martin Luther King, was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. In June of 1968, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in Los Angeles. And on and on and on it went. It was just a horrific time here in America. If you lived through those times, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you need to go back and check out what was going on in history. It was our nation. We were seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly all at the same time. In 1969, in August of 1969, a horrific murder took place in Los Angeles that turned Hollywood upside down and shook the very core of this nation. Tonight, we are going to have a man that was there. This man, Ivor Davis. The newest book, and it's already up on the charts, Manson Exposed, a reporter's 50-year journey into madness and murder. Ivor Davis was there the morning that the bodies were discovered, and he followed the whole episode from day one through its entirety of a year-long trial. It was a fiasco. It was a circus. You were seeing madness displayed like none other. This man reported on it, wrote about it, had threats to his life and to his family. Tonight he will be with us, and he will be sharing with us those times. He has had an interesting, admirable career, and he's going to be with us tonight. You say, well, Espinlaba, what's the big deal? I mean, you know, it happened in 1969. Why should we be concerned with it? Because as I already stated, it's a part of our history. It's not a good part. It's an ugly part. It's a dark part. But it lets us know that human nature sometimes is very, very evil. I want to play a short clip with you just to let you know what it was like that day. This clip is an officer who was at the scene and discovered the bodies on that day. So let me get my buttons pushed and you can see it.
It's been 50 years this August. It's something I'll never forget. You know, it was something you witness and you just go on. Those poor people their lives were ended young. They were young. All of them were young. In their 20s, I think they were all in their 20s. The Sharon Tate murder with 5 dead bodies was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in the whole time I was a policeman. And nothing compares to it, to that murder scene. Sharon Tate was a beautiful lady. She was gorgeous. When I looked at her when I bent down to check her out to see if she was still alive, I thought, this is the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. The only wound I could see on Sharon Tate was right in her pregnant belly, and it was a big gash with an avulsion cut. It was like they were almost going to cut the baby out of her. That's what it looked like.
So, Bob, when you're confronted with a crime scene like the one you were at, what do you think about who could have done this?
I was thinking there's somebody and people wanted to kill these people awful bad. That's all I could think, and I had no idea why they killed them. Was a motivation robbery? I don't think so. Vengeance. I thought it was a vengeance thing.
What made you think it was vengeance?
It was brutally done. It wasn't like they were just shot and executed one at a time. It looked like there was the way it was staged, with the ropes around Sharon Tate's neck and the other one around Jay Sebring's neck. It baffles me. It really does. I can't understand why any person would do anything, would kill for another person for no reason. That, to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you got to be hypnotized or something by this person. And maybe Manson had that power because it was sex and drugs. That's what the whole thing was about. At the time, I thought a man did all this killing when I was walking through the crime scene. I would have never suspected a woman doing killing people like the way they was butchered, basically, and they were butchered.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.
Let me pull this down. That was from the police officer that was on the scene that discovered the bodies that morning, August 7th or August 9th, 1969. So tonight, you will be hearing from the international investigative reporter that was there that day, that followed the episode all the way through and including the trial, how his life and his family was threatened, the things that he went through as he covered this story. And not only that, he will be sharing with you the time that he spent with the Beatles. When the Beatles came here in 1964, Ivor traveled with them for their entire tour here in America. He was their personal reporter man, and he was on the scene with those fellows in 1964. And then he covered this horrific murder in 1969. So he will be with us tonight. This is what I would ask you to do. Please share this, share this pre-show show. Get it out there and tell everybody that you possibly can to join us tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for this thrilling, it's riveting. It'll have you on the edge of your seat when we will be having Ivor Davis with us, the man who recently wrote Manson Exposed, the reporter's 50-year journey into madness and murder. He has written other books about the murders. He has written a book about the Beatles, and we'll be putting all that information up as the day goes by. So stay tuned for more posts. I thank you for joining me for these few moments this afternoon, and I hope that each and every one of you will push this out to your family and your friends. This man was there. He knows all the ins and the outs. He knows some of the movie stars that were going to be at that party that night, that for whatever reason didn't show up, and their life was spared because of it. So join me tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. Same place, same time, and I'll see you tonight. So push this out there for us. If you have to start some watch parties, do that for us. Whatever has to be done, push this out so we can have a very interesting show tonight. And please come into the chat room with your questions and your comments. We'll share them with Ivor, and I know that we'll have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time tonight. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen. I'll see you at 8 tonight. Thank you.